Since the new Trigun Stampede is airing right now, I wanted to watch the original Trigun, and god damn, it was one of the most frustrating things I have ever watched. It's a show that blends science fiction, western, and humor in its own unique way, much like the highly acclaimed Cowboy Bebop. But the way these two shows approach to certain topics are vastly different. If I had to summarize Trigun, I would describe it as goofy, somewhat light-hearted show with tragedy and sadness sprinkled all over it. And I really liked the first half of the show because it felt like a really fun show. But as I went on to watch the second half of it, the show became more and more frustrating with each episode purely because of Vash's actions. Vash has a pretty charismatic personality that draws people in, and he's a goody two-shoes that hates fighting and violence and tries to talk his way out of every single conflict. That was fine at the beginning because most of it was filler episodes rather than the actual main story, so I was sort of okay with it. But as the show progressed to the main story, the situations Vash had to face got more and more serious and dangerous, where he absolutely couldn't talk his way out of it a single inch. He is an exceptional gunslinger with an aim that would put Deadshot to shame, so all he had to do was use his damn gun and the situation would have been resolved in no time. But his reluctance to use his gun and shoot the bad guys puts not only him but the people around him in more trouble and a world of hurt. Instead of breaking down the enemies, he just put himself in harm's way, either getting shot or beaten down, which serves no purpose to him or the very people he's trying to protect. He is the only one capable of going against those enemies, so when he is hurt and unable to fight, who's gonna save those people? I can't even tell you how many times this happened because it happened way too much. I was so frustrated with this shit that I was banging my head on the table and my mom thought I was having a fucking seizure. He is so stubbornly engulfed in his own belief that he refuses to hurt the very people that are actively trying to murder him, and that very decision leads to so many deaths of innocent people. When the time comes for Vash to make the decisive action in a situation to shoot his enemies and save the people around him, he hesitates and makes the wrong choice every single time. And by the time he do decide to take the action, people are already lying dead around him. Vash always screams, "Why? Why did you do this? Why did it have to be like this?" towards his enemies after they killed people, and he always received the same freaking answers. It's because they could, it's because they did not give a fuck, or it's because they wanted to see despair in Vash's face. His biggest weakness is his own pure heart. I understand the desire to not kill a single person, to not cross that line where you can never go back. While I admire that a lot, he is not the only character with that trait. Batman and Daredevil are both like that. They refuse to kill their enemies, but the big difference is that Batman and Daredevil absolutely wrecks their enemies in order to protect innocent people. They prioritize innocent lives over some criminal's life, but they make sure to not kill them in the process. That's the way Vash should have done things, instead of refusing to hurt even the ones who absolutely deserved it. I think one of the main factors that separate Cowboy Bebop and Trigun is that Spike Spiegel knows when to take the appropriate action and what kind of action it needs to be, and he never hesitates. He knows that he's not living in some kind of a dream world where everyone gets along fine and no one gets hurt. He does what he needs to do to survive and protect his friends. Can you imagine a fight between Vicious and Vash? I'm pretty sure Vash is the kind of person who would ask Vicious, "Why can't we get along?" It's like asking Dio to be a decent person. Or just asking Netflix, why can't they do a live action that is faithful to the original source material? I'm looking at you, discount Cowboy Bebop. Now all of my rant is out of the way. Let me say, I still think it's a good show. I would probably give it like a 7 out of 10. It's far from a perfect show and it has many problems. One is inconsistent pacing. More than 50% of the show was filler. 2 is leaving important plot points unanswered. I got so many questions like what is lost technology And where did it come from? What exactly are wash and knives? They aren't normal humans. Both of them are more than 100 years old but looks like they could be in a boy band. And how do they have strange powers? Wash's hand turns into a gun that can put a big ass crater on the moon. That's not a gun you can get from your local mad scientist gun store. I doubt even Rick has that kind of a gun.
Yeah!
And lastly, what the fuck is this frog looking thing?
What the hell is even that?
And the last problem I have is the ending. It was a really unsatisfying ending. But even with all that, this classic anime has managed to capture the hearts of viewers for so many years. Maybe its imperfections was what attracted people to it the most.